Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. And no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, I greatly appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. There are so many great content creators out there on YouTube who talk about the Eagles every day. There are so many talented media members, television, radio, digital, who talk about this football team. So anytime you decide to come out and hang out with me here on Eagles Now, I greatly appreciate it. As for what we're getting into today, Howie Roseman, the Eagles general manager, he did it again. I want to take a look at two financially savvy moves that have proved to be great and impactful moves for the Philadelphia Eagles through 3 games during the 2024 campaign. And that ripple effect is going to put this Eagles team in a position to be successful, I believe, for plenty of years to come. Before we dive in, can we get to 85,000 subscribers before Sunday's game against Tampa Bay? As you can see here to my right, we're 119 people away from that number. We're the largest independently run Eagles channel right here on YouTube, and I always aim to give you coverage that's insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking, that involves you, because I want you to have a voice on this program. So hit that sub button for daily shows, live shows, and watch parties. Plenty of great content right here on the channel. So let's start off with this to really set the foundation for this segment. What makes Howie Roseman elite? And what makes him one of, if not the best general managers in the National Football League? No general manager, I don't think, understands the cap better. He's able to pull off salary cap gymnastics. He understands the nuances of the cap. He just understands it better than any other GM in the sport. And with that knowledge and a really good supporting cast around him, as the Eagles always have a very strong front office, and that's a credit to owner Jeffrey Lurie for the importance that he puts on building a great overall business from top to bottom. Howie Roseman is able to sign his players to really financially savvy deals that allows the Eagles to be a talented team, but a sustainable winner. Across the NFL, he has also fleeced teams in multiple trades over time. He's been able to stockpile draft picks. And this Eagles team right now has so much offensive talent. Of course, Howie Roseman does have some weaknesses. What are they? In my eyes, he's struggled to build a quality defense consistently, although that defensive performance against the New Orleans Saints was spectacular during Week 3 in New Orleans. He has missed in the draft on defensive talent. I've been disappointed in Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith so far. It's not to say they're going to be busts. I think it's too early to say that. But over time, Howie Roseman has whiffed on defensive talent. I also don't agree with how he doesn't value linebackers. Like, how do you watch Fred Warner, the leadership that he brings San Francisco, how he plays with that wrecking ball mentality, and how he wreaks havoc from sideline to sideline, can cover multiple positions, and is in the head of opposing quarterbacks, and you don't value the linebacker spot. Now, if you want to talk about financially savvy moves, Zach Bond has worked out so far. Nakobe Dean is playing well as a former third-round pick, but over time, Howie Roseman's resume is his resume. He doesn't value linebackers, and while he stockpiles talent offensively, and it's an offensive era, and I do believe that the best offenses win, this Eagles defense has let them down. In the 2 Super Bowls that they've been to, and Howie has been the general manager in 2017 and in 2022, both of those games have been shootouts. And in 2022, Patrick Mahomes, the only incompletion that he had in that second half was a throwaway. And if the Eagles could have gotten a stop or a turnover, we're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles as 2-time Super Bowl champions. And if you win 2 rings from the span of 2017 to 2022, that's a dynastic run right there. Plenty of more to get to here on the show, but I do want to pop up today's poll question, and I want to hear from you down in the comment section. This will also be the pinned comment on today's Eagles Now, so if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, then scroll on down and let me know what you're thinking about this. Is Howie Roseman the best GM in the National Football League? Type yes, type no. Let me know in the comment section right now. Financially savvy deal number 1 that I want to discuss on today's show. The Reed Blankenship contract. This is a perfect example of Howie Roseman in Philadelphia having foresight and signing a player to a good deal early. Now, a lot of other teams across the NFL like to wait to pay their homegrown players and sign them to contract extensions like the San Francisco 49ers, like other teams across the NFL. And the risk in doing that is that you're going to have to pay them more than top dollar because the market changes throughout that offseason. Whereas Howie Roseman likes to sign his players early in the offseason, but also early in general. And Reed Blankenship is an example of that. Philadelphia didn't need to sign him to a contract extension. They didn't need to give him guaranteed money, but they had some foresight here. They looked into the future, and they liked what they saw from Reed Blankenship. So they signed him to an extension through 2025, and if he ends up becoming one of the top safeties in the NFL, and this year he has been, wait to see what the numbers are, he's under contract the next 2 years, fully guaranteed money of just $3.9 million, and he was a UDFA. The raise goes up from $985,000. So for Reed Blankenship, it's a great upgrade as far as pay. But as an undrafted free agent, he's become an impact player and a starter, and he's only 25 years old. And Reed Blankenship has shown already this year with an interception of Jordan Love, the game-winning interception of Derek Carr, that he is a big-time playmaker. And since he's really been the starting safety for this team over the last couple of years, he has made some highly impactful game-changing plays. And this year, Reed Blankenship is the number 3 highest-graded safety according to Pro Football Focus in the National Football League through 3 weeks going into Week 4. Here's a look at that list as far as overall grades from PFF. Julian Love, number 1, 90.6 for the Seattle Seahawks. Brandon Jones, 90 flat. Reed Blankenship at 87.2. Elijah Molden at 84.3. And Tyrann Mathieu of the New Orleans Saints, who intercepted Jalen Hurts last week, 84.2. Now let's flip the page to the top coverage grades among safeties. Look who's number 1. Reed Blankenship at 86.7. Ahead of Julian Love, ahead of Brandon Jones, ahead of Tyrann Mathieu, and ahead of Harrison Smith. And Mathieu, Harrison Smith, they're making a lot of coin, and Reed Blankenship guaranteed dollars, less than $4 million. So when you have a player who's playing this well, who's playing such an important role, who's making game-changing plays, he's young, he's a part of your stable core, that is great bang for your buck. And Blankenship, his all-around play has been really good this year. Overall grade of 87.2, as I said. That coverage grade of 86.7. He's allowing a passer rating when targeted of 57.9. So he's kind of been that ball hawk back there, but he can mix it up, get physical, and play in the box. 2 picks and 4 stops. And I know this offseason, we here on the show, yours truly, talked about the safety position. And I was an advocate for the Eagles signing Justin Simmons because of the relative unknowns. With Reed Blankenship, with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and his injuries, I thought bringing in Justin Simmons would elevate this defense. By the way, he has played awesome football, him and Jesse Bates, as the safety tandem for Atlanta, so it still could have been a good move. But I also noted during those conversations that the Eagles may not pursue Justin Simmons and stand pat because they like the player that Blankenship can become. And as we know, they stood pat, and Blankenship's been balling out to start off the 2024 campaign. Coming up next here on the show, why the Saquon Barkley deal is also a steal for the Eagles. Saquon deal, a steal. That's a bar right there. First, if you want a Cooper DeJean shirt, get yours today. Available in Kelly green and black at chatsports.com/DeJean. We're going to start to see Cooper DeJean a little bit more. He's going to be this team's go-to punt returner with Britton Covey landing on IR with that broken bone in his shoulder. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. It's chatsports.com/DeJean. Let's next talk about Saquon Barkley here. Why the Saquon contract has already paid big dividends for Philadelphia, but how Howie Roseman's fingerprints were all over this deal. And when you look at the intricacies and the fine print of this contract, I think it's one of the top value deals in the NFL for the player that Saquon Barkley has been. So far through 3 weeks, Saquon is the NFL's leading rusher with 351 rushing yards. He's the first Eagles player ever with 351 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns during a 3-game span. And his rushing yards total, 351. That's the second best 3-game stretch in franchise history behind the great LaShawn McCoy, who will be inducted into the Eagles Hall of Fame later this year. And in the first 3 games, Saquon has straight up been balling out against Green Bay, against Atlanta, and against New Orleans. I love the Louisiana leap inside the Superdome on that electrifying 65-yard touchdown run. But in week 1, he has one of the best debuts that any free agent acquisition could have. 24 carries, 109 yards, 4.5 yards per carry, 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 through the air on that dime ball from Jalen Hurts on the wheel route. Week 2 against Atlanta, I didn't think that Philadelphia ran the ball enough with Saquon Barkley. I thought they should have run it a little bit more because Atlanta couldn't stop the run, but still a good performance for him, albeit with that game-breaking drop, unfortunately. 22 carries, 95 yards, 4.3 yards per carry. And then against the New Orleans Saints, 8.5 yards per tote for Saquon Barkley, that massive touchdown and 2-point conversion, 17 carries, a $147. Giants fans in shambles. Eagles fans elated. We've all gotten over the drop against Atlanta, and this will also make you feel better because Saquon Barkley is a legitimate MVP candidate so far through 3 games going into week 4. And look at what the Eagles are paying him this year for this production. 2024 base salary, $1.375 million. He has a cap hit this year of less than $4 million. 2025 base, $1.17 million. A 2025 cap hit of $5.5 million. Pretty much what this is a 2-year contract worth $26 million, $13 million per year because the guaranteed money, $26 million. And even at $13 million average annual value for a player of this pedigree and this talent level, who's this dynamic, think about what some of these wide receivers are making. $30 to $35 million. Think about what Joe Burrow is making for the 0-3 Bengals. Think about these quarterbacks that are making 40, 50. Dak Prescott, $60 million per year. And you have Saquon Barkley with this base salary, these cap hits, and the guaranteed money at $13 million the first 2 years. In business and in sports, it's all about what production you get for your investment. And the Eagles are getting great production from Reed Blankenship, great production from Saquon Barkley for quality investments from a business standpoint. And we had a sign that this was coming because for the first time in his career, Saquon Barkley is surrounded with a great complementary cast of weapons at quarterback, tight end, wide receiver. Most importantly, though, he's running behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, and he hasn't had that luxury before. And he didn't have it with the New York Giants, who in the last 2 years, they were a putrid run-blocking offensive unit. The numbers don't lie. The New York Giants in run-block win percentage in 2023, 31st. In 2022, 26th. The Eagles, on the other hand, ranked first and second the last 2 years. The last 3 years, the Giants in run-block win percentage, 30th, 14th, 21st. The Eagles going into 2024, third, and 5th. And what has happened? Saquon Barkley has seen running lanes that he's never seen before in the NFL, and not since he was at Penn State. The big question, how many yards will Saquon Barkley rush for this year? I said prior to the year with one of my bold predictions, I think he's going to have a Christian McCaffrey impact, and he's going to have between 1,500 and 2,000 all-purpose yards. That's what I'm rolling with.